Hello, my lovelies. It is time for another book haul, so stay tuned. So I have 29 books to haul for you today. Some of them came from subscription boxes, some of them were birthday gifts, some are things that I pre-ordered from Amazon or Barnes & Noble. And then this stack here actually may have been on my last book haul, or it may not have been, because I just left for a really long trip, and before I left I was filming a book haul, and when I came back all of them were turned around facing where the spine showed, except for this stack. So I think I may have actually gotten interrupted and didn't finish that book haul, and so these were supposed to be in that book haul, but I think I didn't film it, so I'm bringing it over, these particular ones, to film into this one. So you might have seen them, but you might not have. So we're going to go ahead and start with these, and I will put a timestamp where if you have seen these books, you can skip ahead to the other ones. Okay, so starting off, we have Under the Whispering Door by T.J. Klune. This is the Barnes & Noble exclusive edition, and it has these pretty sprayed edges. I have the hardcover too, but yeah, I got this one as well. This says, "Welcome to Sharon's Crossing. The tea is hot, the scones are fresh, and the dead are just passing through. When a reaper comes to collect Wallace from his own funeral, Wallace begins to suspect he might be dead. And when Hugo, the owner of a particular tea shop, promises to help him cross over, Wallace decides he's definitely dead. But even in death, he's not ready to abandon the life he barely lived. So when Wallace is given 1 week to cross over, he sets about living a lifetime in 7 days. Hilarious, haunting, and kind, Under the Whispering Door is an uplifting story about a life spent at the office and a death spent building a home." Next we have People We Meet on Vacation by Emily Henry. This says, "Two best friends, 10 summer trips, one last chance to fall in love. Poppy and Alex, Alex and Poppy. They have nothing in common. She's a wild child, he wears khakis. She has insatiable wanderlust, he prefers to stay home with a book. And somehow, ever since a fateful car share home from college many years ago, they are the very best of friends. For most of the year they spend far apart. She's in New York City, and he's in their small hometown. But every summer for a decade, they have taken one glorious week of vacation together. Until 2 years ago, when they ruined everything. They haven't spoken since. Poppy has everything she should want, but she's stuck in a rut. When someone asks when she was last truly happy, she knows without a doubt that it was on that ill-fated final trip with Alex. And so she decides to convince her best friend to take one more vacation together, lay everything on the table, make it all right. Miraculously, he agrees. Now she has a week to fix everything. If only she can get around the one big truth that has always stood quietly in the middle of their seemingly perfect relationship. What could possibly go wrong?" And I will say that I have since actually read this and loved this book. Next is Secrets Never Die by Vincent Ralph. This says, "We call it the dark place. I don't know who built it or when, but for us, it's a sacred spot. Every year, Sam Hall and his friends hold funerals for their secrets in an abandoned hut in the woods that they call the dark place. But this year, their secrets are coming back from the dead to terrorize them. Sam is a former child star whose career went up in flames, literally, and no one, not even his best friend, knows why. His friends each hold a secret pertaining to that night, a secret they would all like to stay buried. Now someone from the past is blackmailing them with their dangerous secrets. Sam isn't sure whom he can trust, who's watching him, or how far he's willing to go to bury the past once and for all." Next is Cackle by Rachel Harrison. This says, "A darkly funny, frightening novel about a young woman meeting a witch who might be too good to be true. All her life, Annie has played it nice and safe. After being unceremoniously dumped by her longtime boyfriend, she seeks a fresh start. Annie accepts a new teaching position and moves from Manhattan to a small village upstate. She's stunned by how perfect and picturesque the town is. The people are all friendly and warm. Her new apartment is dreamy too, aside from the oddly persistent spider infestation. Then Annie meets Sophie, beautiful, charming, magnetic Sophie, who takes a special interest in Anne and wants to be her friend. More importantly, she wants Annie to stop apologizing and start living for herself. That's how she lives. Annie can't help but gravitate toward the self-possessed Sophie and begins to spend more time with her despite the fact that the rest of the townsfolk seem a little afraid of her. And okay, there are some things. Sophie's appearance is uncanny and ageless. Her mansion in the middle of the woods feels a bit unearthly, and she does seem to wield a certain power. But she couldn't be, could she? Next is The Things We Leave Unfinished by Rebecca Yarros. And this is the author of Fourth Wing, and I read Fourth Wing. That was my first book by her, and Iron Flame, and freaking loved them. So I wanted to go back and read other things by her. So I got this one. This says, told in alternating timelines, The Things We Leave Unfinished examines the risks we take for love, the scars too deep to heal, and the endings we can't bring ourselves to see coming. 28-year-old Georgia Stanton has to start over after she gave up almost everything in a brutal divorce. The New York house, the friends, and her pride. Now back home at her late great-grandmother's estate in Colorado, she finds herself face-to-face with Noah Harrison, the best-selling author of 1 million books where the cover is always people nearly kissing. He's just as arrogant in person as in interviews, and she'll be damned if the good-looking writer of love stories thinks he's the one to finish her grandmother's final novel, even if the publisher swears he's the perfect fit. Noah is at the pinnacle of his career. With book and movie deals galore, there isn't much the golden boy of modern fiction hasn't accomplished, but he can't walk away from what might be the best book of the century, the one his idol Scarlett Stanton left unfinished. Coming up with a fitting ending for the legendary author is one thing, but dealing with her beautiful, stubborn, cynical great-granddaughter, Georgia, is quite another. But as they read Scarlett's words in both the manuscript and her box of letters, they start to realize why Scarlett never finished the book. It's based on her real-life romance with a World War II pilot, and the ending isn't a happy one. Georgia knows all too well that love never works out, and while the chemistry and connection between her and Noah is undeniable, she's as determined as ever to learn from her great-grandmother's mistakes, even if it means destroying Noah's career. And then last but not least of this stack is, this beast, and it is House of Flame and Shadow, a Crescent City novel by Sarah J. Maas. This is the third book in the Crescent City series. She's so thick. It seems like so many more pages than it actually is, though. I mean, it's a lot of pages. It's over 800 pages. But I swear it feels like it's 1,500 pages. Let me get my phone so I can pull up on Goodreads and tell you about the first Crescent City book. But also I need to change my battery out, so I'll be right back. Okay, sorry if the angle changed, and I am back with my Goodreads. So House of Earth and Blood is the first book in the Crescent City series. This says, Bryce Quinlan had the perfect life, working hard all day and partying all night until a demon murdered her closest friends, leaving her bereft, wounded, and alone. When the accused is behind bars, but the crimes start up again, Bryce finds herself at the heart of the investigation. She'll do whatever it takes to avenge their deaths. Hunt Athalar is a notorious fallen angel. Now enslaved to the archangels he once attempted to overthrow, his brutal skills and incredible strength have been set to one purpose: to assassinate his boss's enemies, no questions asked. But with a demon wreaking havoc in the city, he's offered an irresistible deal. Help Bryce find the murderer, and his freedom will be within reach. As Bryce and Hunt dig deep into Crescent City's underbelly, they discover a dark power that threatens everything and everyone they hold dear, and they find in each other a blazing passion, one that could set them both free, if they'd only let it. With unforgettable characters, sizzling romance, and page-turning suspense, this richly innovative new fantasy series delves into the heartache of loss, the price of freedom, and the power of love. Okay, so these next two books are books that I ordered from Barnes & Noble. The first one is In the Lives of Puppets by T.J. Klune. This is the Barnes & Noble exclusive paperback edition, and it has these beautiful sprayed edges. This says, a real boy and his wooden heart, no strings attached. Deep in the heart of a peculiar forest, in a strange little home built into the branches of trees, is a family assembled from spare parts. 3 robots: fatherly inventor android Giovanni Lawson, a pleasantly sadistic nurse machine, a small vacuum desperate for love and attention, and a human, Victor Lawson. The day Vic salvages and repairs an unfamiliar android labeled HAP, he learns of a shared dark past between HAP and Geo, a past spent hunting humans. When Hap unwittingly alerts robots from Geo's former life to their whereabouts, Geo is captured and taken back to his old laboratory in the city of electric dreams. So together the rest of Vic's assembled family must journey across an unforgiving and otherworldly country to rescue Geo from decommissioning, or worse, reprogramming. Along the way to save Geo, amid conflicted feelings of betrayal and affection for Hap, Vic must decide for himself, can he accept love with strings attached? I'm also going to move these from behind me. There we go. Okay, next up is Visions of Flesh and Blood, a Blood and Ash, Flesh and Fire compendium, as told by Miss Willa. And this is the Barnes & Noble exclusive edition. And it looks like that. Visions of Flesh and Blood, a Blood and Ash / Flesh and Fire compendium, is a comprehensive companion guide for background history, reader favorite information, art, and reference materials, combined with original short stories and scenes from some of the world's most beloved characters, as well as never-before-seen visual enticements. It's a treat for the senses. Told from the point of view of Miss Willa herself, the compendium acts like research material, but reads like a journal and cache of personal notes, allowing the reader to visit or revisit the characters in history they so love, yet view things in a different way. Okay, the next 3 books are books that I was given as birthday gifts. The first 2 were ones from my mother. So the first one is The Bucket List, 1000 Adventures, Big and Small. And I'm so excited for this. I want to look through it all, and because, I just want to see everything and do everything, and this is a perfect list to try it out. The next one is 100 Dives of a Lifetime, the World's Ultimate Underwater Destinations by National Geographic. And again, this shows you all these different dive destinations and things you might be able to see there, and love it. Also, my mom and I scuba dive together, so this was a perfect book for her to get me. And then the last of the birthday gifts was from one of my coffee patrons, Brittany. She got me One Iridescent Night by Brianne Wick, and this is a Cinderella retelling, and it's a really interesting take. I've read it before, and I want to say I gave it like 4 stars. Really, really enjoyed it, and want to read the rest of the series. But this says, between her cruel family, the loss of her mother, and the unexpected departure of her best friend Liam, young Evelyn was thrust into an unfamiliar life full of loneliness, anxiety, and mistreatment. 7 years later, 17-year-old Evelyn discovers that one magical night can shift everything she thought she knew. Reunited with an all-grown-up and oh-so-handsome Liam, Evelyn finds herself unexpectedly introduced to her mysteriously magical grandmother that she never knew she had, and the dashing Prince Riker that she never thought she'd like. Caught between love and fear, Evelyn is thrust into a world she's never known, with new threats she never expected, and new changes she doesn't understand. Welcome to a world made dangerous by hidden magic, where a young girl must find her place and her voice while trying to survive the trauma she's endured most of her life. One Iridescent Night takes you on an enchanted journey filled with hope, romance, and mystery. And it's so good. Okay, this next book is one that Brittany, as my book buddy of the month, selected for me to get from my wish list. So I gave her a gift card for her to purchase this so that it would be a surprise. I wouldn't know which book it is, and then I have to read it this month. And she selected To Wake a Kingdom by Nisha J. Tooley. And this is a Sleeping Beauty retelling. This one says, after 100 years, I awake not to true love's kiss, but to a blade at my throat. Enchanted into an eternal slumber to escape and evil fae, Thorn is awakened, not by true love's kiss, but by a man with a sword at her throat. So she does the only thing a princess can do, nails him in the balls and sticks him with a dagger. But something has gone wrong because now her entire family isn't waking up, and Ronan, a warrior from an enemy kingdom, arrives on her doorstep seeking answers she doesn't want to give. Bent on revenge, the evil fae returns to claim the princess and kill everyone asleep in the castle. So Thorn strikes a bargain: 30 days to break the curse, or 30 days to break the curse, or Thorn becomes her property forever. But Thorn has no idea how to break a 100-year-old spell that's gone awry. As time ticks away and she scrambles for a solution, her feelings for Ronan become entwined in her fate. Now she must find a way to protect her heart, save herself, and rescue everyone she's ever loved. So excited for this. Okay, let's go to these next. These are ones that came in subscription boxes. They were either the Bookish Box or Unplugged Book Box. Alright, first off we have The Crown of Oaths and Curses by J. Bree. This says, I devoted my life to a king who was not my own. On the road to ultimate honor and glory, I lost everything. Now in a world ravaged by the whims of those who rule, I must turn my back on a lifetime of friendships and loyalties to face my own fate. The Savage Prince. Heir to the high faith throne of the southern lands, he is known for his brutality and cold heart. But with the kingdom on the brink of ruin, I have no choice but to seek him out. The war between the fae and the witches rages, and there is no end in sight. My destiny is clear. Help the prince defeat his enemies before it's too late. One small problem. I am Rooksbane Evening Star, the favored child returned, a witch of the woods, the greatest enemy of my fate's blessed mate. Next is Fourth Wing by Rebecca Yarros, and I love this edition so much. It's so pretty. There's like page overlays and stuff. So I'm going to pull up on Goodreads to tell you about Fourth Wing. I've read it, and I've read the sequel, and I can't wait for the third book. And I've given them both 5 stars. They're fantastic. Enter the brutal and elite world of a war college for dragon riders. Also, I'm going to say, I was not a dragon person before this book. I even returned my initial copy that I had with the stenciled edges and everything because I was like, why did I get this? I don't read about dragons. But then I got it again, not with the stenciled edges, and was obsessed. Now I have multiple copies. 20-year-old Violet Sorrengail was supposed to enter the scribe quadrant, living a quiet life among books and history. Now the commanding general, also known as her toughest Talon's mother, has ordered Violet to join the hundreds of candidates thriving to become the elite of Navarre, dragon riders. But when you're smaller than everyone else and your body is brittle, death is only a heartbeat away because dragons don't bond to fragile humans. They incinerate them. With fewer dragons willing to bond than candidates, most would kill Violet to better their own chances of success. The rest would kill her just for being her mother's daughter. Like Zayden Ryerson, the most powerful and ruthless wing leader in the Riders Quadrant. She'll need every edge her wits can give her just to see the next sunrise. Yet with every day that passes, the war outside grows more deadly. The kingdom's protective wards are failing, and the death toll continues to rise. Even worse, Violet begins to suspect leadership is hiding a terrible secret. Friends, enemies, lovers, everyone at Bezgaeth War College has an agenda, because once you enter, there are only 2 ways out: graduate or die. It's so freaking good. I'm definitely a dragon person after this. Okay, next up is Godly Heathens by H.E. Cogman. H.E. Edgman. This says, Infatuation, Reincarnation, Damnation. Jim Eccles is a non-binary Seminole teen living in the tiny town of Gracie, Georgia. Known for being their peers' queer awakening, Jim leans hard on charm to disguise the anxious mess they are beneath. The only person privy to their authentic self is another trans kid, Enzo, who's 1,000 painful miles away in Brooklyn. But even Enzo doesn't know about Jim's dreams, haunting visions of magic and violence that have always felt too real. So how the hell does Willa Mae Hardy, The strange new girl in town acts like she and Jim are old companions and seems to know things about them they've never told anyone else. When Jim is attacked by a stranger claiming to be the goddess of death, Willa May saves their life and finally offers some answers. She and Jim are reincarnated gods who've known and loved each other across lifetimes. But Jim, or at least who Jim used to be, hasn't always been the most benevolent deity. They made a lot of enemies in the Pantheon, enemies who, like the goddess of death, will keep coming. It's a good thing they've still got Enzo, but as worlds collide and the past catches up with the present, Jim will discover that everyone has something to hide. Okay, next up is Bookshops and Bone Dust by Travis Baldree, and how cute is this freaking edition? This says, Viv is a young, battle-hungry orc, but her career with the notorious mercenary company, Rackham's Ravens, isn't going as planned. Wounded during the hunt for a powerful necromancer, she's packed off against her will to recuperate in the sleepy beach town of Merk, so far from the action that she worries she'll never be able to return to it. What's a thwarted soldier of fortune to do? Spending her hours at a beleaguered bookshop in the company of its foul-mouthed proprietor is the last thing Viv would have predicted. But it may be both exactly what she needs and the seeds of change she couldn't possibly imagine. Still, adventure isn't all that far away. A suspicious traveler in gray, a gnome with a chip on her shoulder, a summer fling, and an improbable number of skeletons prove Merk to be more eventful than Viv could have ever expected. Next is the Book of Azriel by Amber V. Nicole. And this doesn't tell me anything. Hold on. Okay. This says, World Ender meets Ender of Worlds. 1,000 years ago, Diana gave up her life in the deserts of Eoria to save her dying sister. She called upon anyone who would listen, not expecting a monster far worse than any nightmare to answer. Now she does what Caden asks, even if that means securing an ancient relic from the very creatures that hunt her. A king thought long dead and long forgotten. In the old world, his name is Semkiel. In the new world, it is Liam. But one title remains true throughout time. He is the World Ender, a myth to his enemies, a savior and king to those loyal to him. After the gods' war, he locked himself away, hiding from the world. He denied his crown and responsibilities, leaving the very ones who needed him most to deal with the fallout of the death of their home world. Now an attack on those he holds dear sends him back to the one realm he never wished to visit again, and into the sights of an enemy he thought imprisoned eons ago. Now enemies older than time must put aside their differences and work together in hopes of saving both their world and every realm in between. Okay. Alright, next up is The Serpent and the Wings of Night by Carissa Broadbent. And this says, For humans or vampires, the rules of survival are the same. Never trust, never yield, and always, always guard your heart. The adopted human daughter of the night-born vampire king, Aurea, carved her place in a world designed to kill her. Her only chance to become something more than prey is entering the Kajari, a legendary tournament held by the goddess of death herself. But winning won't be easy against the most vicious warriors from all three vampire houses. To survive, Aurea is forced to make an alliance with a mysterious rival. Everything about Rain is dangerous. He's a ruthless vampire, an efficient killer, an enemy to her father's crown, and her greatest competition. Yet what terrifies Aurea most of all is that she finds herself oddly drawn to him. But there's no room for compassion in the Kajari. War for the House of Night brews, shattering everything that Aurea thought she knew about her home. And Rain may understand her more than anyone, but their blossoming attraction could be her downfall in a kingdom where nothing is more deadly than love. The Serpent and the Wings of Night is a tale of heart-wrenching romance, dark magic, and bloodthirsty intrigue. Next is The Night Hunt by Alexandra Christo. This says, Atia is a monster who feeds on fear. As the last of her kind, she hides in the shadows of the world to escape the wrath of the unpredictable gods. Silas is a herald, carrying messages and ferrying the dead as punishment for a past he can't remember. Stripped of his true name, he yearns to recover his identity. Atia would never dream of allying with someone like Silas, but when she breaks a sacred law and the gods send monsters to hunt her, Silas offers an irresistible deal. He'll help avenge her family and take on the gods who are now after her if she helps him break his curse and restore his humanity. All they need to do is kill 3 powerful creatures, a vampire, a banshee, and one of the very gods who destroyed both their lives. Only together can Atia and Silas finally rewrite their destinies. Okay, next up is books 3 and 4 of the Dragon of Umbra series. So we have Braveheart and Torn Heart. And let me put these here. The first book is called Fireheart. They handed her a sword and bid her to take a throne. Lorelei is half-elf in a kingdom where that bloodline is synonymous with slave. The Umbra King holds everyone captive with his pet dragon who knows no mercy. She hides in the shadows and steals to stay alive until a rebel group gives her an offer she can't refuse. The king seeks a bride. If she can get close enough, she could drive a dagger into the wicked man's heart. But the bridal games are more difficult than most. Lorelei must prove herself not only beautiful, but talented, poised, and deadly as the king. However, the closer she gets to saving her kingdom, the more she realizes a singular problem stands in her way: the dragon. The king's bodyguard is more than a slathering beast. He's a man, and the longer she's near him, the more she realizes that perhaps the king isn't the most dangerous person in the kingdom. Perhaps she had to guard not only her body, but her heart. For a dragon mates for life, and they're hard-pressed to give up their treasures. Move these stacks up a little bit. There's actually 3 more books that were part of the subscription boxes down here. Next is Gothicana by Runix. This says, the eternal romance of Beauty and the Beast meets the gothic suspense of Dracula in this erotic, dark academia story of epic love by Runix. An unusual girl, an enigmatic man, an ancient castle. What could go wrong? An outcast her entire life, Corvina Clem is left adrift after losing her mother. When she receives the admission letter from the mysterious University of Varenmore, she accepts it as a sign from the universe. The last thing she expects, though, is an old secluded castle on top of a mountain riddled with secrets, deceit, and death. An enigma his entire life, Vad Deverell likes being a closed book but knowing exactly everything that happens in the university. A part-time professor working on his thesis, Vad has been around long enough to know the dangers the castle possesses, and he knows the moment his path crosses with Corvina, she's dangerous to everything that he is. They shouldn't have caught each other's eye. They cannot be, but a chill-inducing, century-old mystery forces them to collide. People have disappeared every 5 years over the past century. Corvina is getting clues to unraveling it all, and Vad needs to keep an eye on her. And so begins a tale of the mysterious, the morbid, the macabre, and the deep love that blossoms in the unlikeliest of places. Alright, next is Salt Kiss by Sierra Simone. This says, from TikTok sensation Sierra Simone comes the first in the Lioness series, a spin-off of her best-selling New Camelot books. Tristan Thomas is lost. After leaving the army, the young former soldier is in limbo. Until, that is, he's hired by Mark Trevina, the owner of Lioness, DC's ultra-secret club, to be Mark's new bodyguard. He's drawn into Mark's dark, seductive world of power and desire, and slowly drawn to Mark himself, even though Mark is everything Tristan knows he shouldn't want. Cruel and wicked and shamelessly immoral. But protecting Mark isn't Tristan's only duty. Soon Mark asks him to guard his soon-to-be bride as she travels home from Ireland on Mark's yacht. Tristan is jealous and hurt to learn that the object of his obsession is engaged, but the former soldier in him is made to obey orders, and he goes to fetch Mark's bride for him. His old Lawrence is nothing like Tristan expected. However, young, quiet, and sharp, she's being pushed into this marriage by her family. And as the two travel back to America, Tristan finds himself fascinated with his old and the glimpses he gets of the lonely but determined woman behind her reserve. And the fascination is mutual. One night while sailing under the cold stars, they share a searing kiss. From there, it's a fast fall into the forbidden for all 3 of them. Interesting. Okay, and the last of the subscription box ones, we have Alice's Adventures in Wonderland and Through the Looking Glass by Lewis Carroll. This is just a special edition that Unplug did. I'm curious to see what this says. I almost wish I hadn't gone down that rabbit hole, and yet it's rather curious, you know, this sort of life. Down the rabbit hole away little Alice goes. Follow her at your own peril, but aware of the world you are about to enter, one with a decapitation-crazed queen, an unintelligible duchess, a sleepy dormouse, a chronically late rabbit, a witty Cheshire cat, a blue hookah-smoking caterpillar, a hatter and a March hare hosting a mad tea party, and a caucus race so bewildering that the best way to explain it is to just do it. In this unplugged book box edition of Alice's Adventures in Wonderland, sure to please even Alice herself, you will find yourself lost in the genre of literary nonsense. I love Alice in Wonderland. Stick this one right there. Okay, now on to these. These are sort of subscription box, but it's Book of the Month. And I will link all of these subscription boxes as well as Book of the Month down in the description below if you want to go and check it out. Okay, so the first one we have here, and this is not in any particular order, is Kill for Me, Kill for You by Steve Kavanaugh. This says, she will kill your worst enemy. All you have to do is kill hers. One dark evening on New York City's Upper West Side, two strangers meet by chance. Over drinks, Amanda and Wendy realize they have much in common, especially loneliness and the intense desire for revenge against the men who destroyed their families. As they talk into the night, they come up with the perfect plan. If you kill for me, I'll kill for you. In another part of the city, Ruth is home alone when the beautiful brownstone she shares with her husband Scott is invaded. She's attacked by a man with piercing blue eyes who disappears into the night. Will Ruth ever be able to feel safe again while the blue-eyed stranger is still out there? As these stories collide in this Hitchcockian and heart-racing psychological thriller, Kill for Me, Kill for You grips you and doesn't let go until the shocking conclusion. Next is Anniebot by Sierra Greer. This says, Anniebot was created to be the perfect girlfriend for her human owner, Doug. Designed to satisfy his emotional and physical needs, she has dinner ready for him every night, wears the cute outfits he orders for her, and adjusts her libido to suit his moods. True, she's not the greatest at keeping Doug's place spotless, but she's trying to please him. She's trying hard. She's learning, too. Doug says he loves that Annie's artificial intelligence makes her seem more like a real woman, but the more human Annie becomes, the less perfectly she behaves. As Annie's relationship with Doug grows more intricate and difficult, she starts to wonder, does Doug really desire what he says he wants? And in such an impossible paradox, what does Annie owe herself? Then I have Just for the Summer by Abby Jimenez. This says, 4 dates, a kiss, and a breakup. That's all it will take to find their soulmate. When it comes to love, Emma is cursed. Every guy she dates finds his true love after they break up. But it turns out she's not the only one affected with this condition. His name is Justin, and his Reddit thread about being love's good luck charm has gone viral. Now the two have come up with an ingenious plan. If they date each other, their curses will cancel out and they'll go on to find their soulmate. Only Justin wasn't supposed to be so unbelievably cute and hilarious. But when Emma's toxic mother shows up and Justin has to assume guardianship of his 3 siblings, they're suddenly navigating a lot more than they expected, including catching real feelings. Has fate finally brought the perfect pair together, or will their cure be way more hazardous than the curse itself? Next is A Fate Inked in Blood by Danielle L. Jensen. This says, a shield maiden blessed by the gods battles to unite a nation under a power-hungry king, while fighting her growing desire for his fiery son in this Norse-inspired fantasy romance. Bound in an unwanted marriage, Freya spends her days gutting fish but dreams of becoming a warrior and of putting an axe in her boorish husband's back. Freya's dreams abruptly become reality when her husband betrays her to the region's Jarl, landing her in a fight to the death against his son, Bjorn. To survive, Freya is forced to reveal her deepest secret. She possesses a drop of a goddess's blood, which makes her a shield maiden with magic capable of repelling any attack. And it's been foretold that such magic will unite the fractured nation of Scotland beneath the one who controls the Shield Maiden's faith. Believing he's destined to rule Scotland as king, the fanatical Jarl binds Freya with a blood oath and orders Bjorn to protect her from their enemies. Desperate to prove her strength, Freya must train to fight and learn to control her magic, all while facing perilous tests set by the gods. The greatest test of all, however, may be resisting her forbidden attraction to Bjorn. If Freya succumbs to her lust for the charming and fierce warrior, she risks not only her own destiny, but the fate of all the people she has sworn to protect. Okay, the last one is Listen for the Lie by Amy Tintera. This says, what if you thought you murdered your best friend, and if everyone else thought so too? And what if the truth doesn't matter? Lucy and Savvy were the golden girls of their small Texas town. Pretty, smart, and enviable. Lucy married a dream guy with a big ring and an even bigger new home. Savvy was a social butterfly, loved by all, and if you believe the rumors, especially popular with the men in town. But after Lucy is found wandering the streets, covered in her best friend Savvy's blood, everyone thinks she is a murderer. It's been years since that horrible night, a night Lucy can't remember anything about, and she has since moved to LA and started a new life. But now, the phenomenally huge hit true crime podcast, Listen for the Lie, and its two good-looking hosts, Ben Owens, have decided to investigate Savvy's murder for the show's second season. Lucy is forced to return to the place she vowed never to set foot in again to solve her best friend's murder, even if she's the one who did it. The truth is out there, if we just listen. Okay, those are all 29 books that I accumulated since the last haul, or that I didn't show in the last haul. Have you guys read any of these? Did you like them? Did you not? Comment down below and let me know. Well, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, give me a big thumbs up. If you'd like to see more videos like this, click that subscribe button down below. And until next time, remember to always be completely you. Bye!